that dovetails into Courtney's question, who has had trouble with her insurance policy. She tried reading it. She just doesn't understand it like so many of us. If you had to pick maybe a couple of really important details, what would you advise Courtney to sort of hone in on?
Great question, Courtney. And I think like many of us, the policies are very challenging to understand and comprehend, and maybe that's intentional. But I think for me, the most important to focus in on is your underinsured motorist coverage or your uninsured motorist coverage. Now, the laws in South Carolina and Georgia differ a little bit, but in South Carolina, you are required by law, or the policy is required by law, to have uninsured motorist coverage. The underinsured motorist coverage is optional. It's only a couple dollars more per month to your policy. We think it's very important to add because it gives you coverage in the event that the at-fault driver's liability policy is not adequate to cover your bodily injury or your other damages that you may have suffered as a result of the wreck. So likewise, in the state of Georgia, I would focus on that underinsured or uninsured motorist coverage provision. And they have to give you that option in the state of Georgia in writing. And we would encourage motorists to check that box and take that coverage. It may be a few more dollars a month added to your policy, but it's well worth it to make sure you're covered in the event of an accident on the back end.
Let me add something here, Neil. We're very lucky to have brought Kip on with us. I mean, it's been seamless merger into the group, and he is licensed in both Georgia and South Carolina. In Georgia, an additional consideration is when you pick up the uninsured motorist coverage, you have the option of saying, we accept uninsured motorist coverage reduced, or we accept uninsured motorist coverage add-on. It's very, very important you get the add-on. If you get uninsured motorist coverage reduced, then if you have a serious wreck and the persons most likely to injure you are those persons that are only minimally insured, then if you have reduced uninsured motorist coverage, you have no additional coverage. You're paying for something that has very little value to you. But if you have uninsured motorist coverage add-on, then in the event that someone who is most likely to run into you, someone who is minimally insured, you will have that additional protection. And it doesn't cost very much, just like Kip mentioned. And you have the additional opportunity to purchase MedPay insurance, which allows your medical bills to be paid up front rather than you being done by the medical providers as you get your medical care that's needed as a result of your injuries.